Yes, I'm still here, Hollywood. Coming up on today's episode.
I had most of my scenes were with Steve Carell and working together. You know, Steve was great at, I would throw a ball straight one time, a curveball next time, and he would send it right back. And that's always fun.
What kind of a kisser was Steve Carell?
Oh my God. I don't think I've been asked that question like since the very first season of The Office. That's hilarious.
You're not concerned about AI, infringing on your work.
Well, I mean, look, I think that even if it does, well, then I'm going to have to deal with it. I feel like we're not going to be able to turn back the hands of time.
When it comes to iconic comedy shows of this young century, there was one perfectly written series that allowed its cast to deliver the laughs with incredibly dry and sarcastic performances. The actors often nailed the lines with a quick glance to the camera that kept us viewers always satisfied. At least, that's what she said. This is Still Here Hollywood. I'm Steve Kmetko. Join me with this week's guest, Jan from The Office, Melora Hardin. If you'd like to be more involved with us at Still Here Hollywood, you definitely can. Just visit patreon.com/stillherehollywood. You can support us for as little as $3 a month. You can get our episodes a day before they post anywhere else. You can see what guests will be coming up and submit questions for them. You can even tell us what stars you want us to have on as guests. You'll see what goes on before and after the episode, plus exclusive behind-the-scenes info, pics, video, and more. Again, that's patreon.com/stillherehollywood. Melora, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And you look so colorful.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about your outfit. I'm not supposed to ask that these days. It's
really
sexist or something.
Really? No. Well, these shoes have been in my wardrobe for a very long time, and I just launched my scarf collection and they just matched my scarf.
They
and
do.
So I was kind of into doing my scarf today and, have this in my wardrobe and and I just thought, I'm going to wear that scarf, so it'll go beautifully with this coat. And oh my gosh, those shoes will be amazing with it. It was just fun.
You're a vision.
Oh, thank you.
A vision in fabrics.
I love putting things together. I love, I love patterns and, mixing and matching, and I love colors. And so.
Well, you've done a good job.
Thank you.
By my eye.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Tell me, how long have you been in the business now?
Over half a century.
Wow, that's like more than 50 years.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I like that. You're not
I'm not
worried
bashful.
about that. Yeah,
I'm not bashful,
that's
no.
Good.
And I can tell you when I started, too, because everyone can look up my age on the internet, so I could care less. Also, my dad just turned 95, and he's like, you have to celebrate every birthday because there's only one other option.
Yes.
So
yes,
I'm fine with that.
My parents lived, my mom was 98 when she passed, and my dad was 92, so.
See, good genes. We both have good genes.
So.
Yeah, yeah, I love it.
You were on Little House of the Prairie.
Yes.
Tell me about that. What you remember from that experience?
Well, I remember quite a few things because I auditioned with Matthew Laborteaux when we were 9 to play young Caroline and young Michael Landon's character, Charles. And Charles and Carolyn had to be dancing together. And Matthew said he had already been cast, and he said that he wanted me to play the part because I didn't step on his feet and all the other girls did. And I was a dancer, so I was very, if you'd asked me as a child what I was going to do when I grew up, I would have told you I was going to be a ballerina and that acting was my hobby. So when I got to do that, I didn't end up getting that part, but Matthew and then I got cast, I guess it was in Nelly's, the new Nelly, when the new Nelly was introduced, and it was when I was 13 first, and then my character was Belinda, and she got locked in the ice house by the new Nelly, who was just as mean as the old Nelly, and then I got cast when Matthew's character was leaving the show because he died of leukemia, and I played his love interest, and actually, Matthew and I had our first screen kiss together, and he's still a very good friend of mine and the godfather of my second daughter, and so he's still in my life. So so Little House, and we didn't let our kids watch much TV at all. We really hand selected what they could watch, and our youngest daughter Piper, who is Matthew's goddaughter, she just got obsessed with Little House on the Prairie and watched all of them over and over and over again. And so it was a great, really fun experience. And I think maybe also my first time working with someone like Michael Landon, who really had that community feeling, which I also got a real feeling of from Clint Eastwood when I did Absolute Power. He's similar. He has that crew that follows him from movie to movie, and he also works very much like in the same way that Michael Landon works with TV pace, fast. So does Clint, even though he's making movies. He works fast like that.
He knows what he wants.
He's very decisive.
Yes.
Yes.
I was going to ask you about Michael Landon. What was it like working with him?
Oh, he was just so warm. He was so sweet. He just really made all the kids and adults, I just think it made everybody feel very like he had really chosen you. And he just let you do your thing. And when he ever gave you direction, you never felt admonished by him. He just was lovely.
He knew how to talk to you.
Yeah, he did. He knew how to talk to kids.
Must have had something to do with all those years on Bonanza, I would guess.
Yeah. All the years being the actor on a TV show, long-running TV show, which, I think Clint has that too. He has that similar. There is something about being a long-time TV actor, especially in the times when TV was TV and films were films, and it was really actually quite separate. And yeah, there was just something about that work ethic, I think.
I had an experience once with Clint Eastwood. There was a film festival in Deauville. It was in France, but it was the American Film Festival. They showed nothing but American films. And he was there one year with Bridges of Madison County. And I had never interviewed him before. And we just had a brief second to grab him as he was going by. Well, I don't want to grab Clint Eastwood. But fortunately, his wife, I don't know which one it was at that time.
Exactly.
But his wife was in television herself. And he walked past me. And then he came back and he said, "My wife tells me you're pretty good, so let's do an interview." Sure. So yeah, he struck me as being really cool. And then every time since then, whenever anything's come up, he seems to remember.
He is. He's lovely. And actually, I had one of these amazing interviewers on the red carpet who I've known for years. I think it was the guy who did what is I'm sorry. It's menopause. I can't remember his name. Such a lovely man.
Oh, George Pinocchio.
George, that's it. I was gonna say P. It's P. It's G with a P.
Yeah, George Pinocchio.
Yes, that's who it is. He said to me on the red carpet one time at the Emmys, "Clint Eastwood's trying to get in touch with you. He's being honored at the Thalians Ball, and he wants you to sing." And I was like, okay, I'd like to do that. So we connected with his reps or whatever and got on the phone with him, and he said, yeah, I would love you to sing. And I was like, well, what is your, I found out, like, what is your favorite song? And at that, I think it was, one of his favorite songs was This Time the Dream's on Me, which is a beautiful old song from like the 50s, I think. And then I sang one of my songs. Anyway, he got up and accepted his award, and he must have thanked me 3 times. It's just like, what is going on right now? This is like one of those moments in heaven where you're like, oh my God, he wanted me to sing.
Yeah, can everybody see this? I'd like everybody to hear this.
Yeah, because he's a musician, and so he really appreciated that part of me as well, and it was just so sweet.
He's also a walking icon.
Oh, he sure is. He sure is, and he's really a lovely person. He's so down to earth and so grounded and easygoing. And
I thought you were going to say he wanted you to sing "Play Misty" for me.
Yes, right. That would have been one. That would have been a good one.
The cast from The Office worked so well together. Did you all get along? Yes? No?
Yeah, we did. I mean, we got along great, and I think that for me, it's the one of those things like in retrospect where you look back and, I think that you don't become like best friends with everybody
Right.
you're working with.
It's
You
a
just
job.
you just don't. It's a job. Everyone thinks you do because you're, playing that, but you don't. But I would say that the working experience on that show was just really wonderful. Really wonderful. Greg Daniels was really good at creating a very collaborative environment where the writers, I had never, because I started working at 6 years old professionally, I had been through the ranks of TV for years and years and years and years, and done pilots and failed pilots and short-lived series and so for me, I was really surprised when the writers were right there, in a green room, like right there, and they'd come in and they'd kind of talk through the scene and this is working, that's not. What if we improvise that a little? And what do you think about this? And, it was really very inclusive and very collaborative. And Ken Kwapis directed the pilot, and Ken was amazing. I remember one scene in the pilot. My phone went off when we were rehearsing, and I think I said, "Oh God, I make sure that my phone doesn't go off." And he goes, "No, leave it on. Leave it on. It would be really, and if someone calls, answer it, in character." And I just thought, this is my kind of group where we get to really play like that. And they trusted us enough and trusted our craft enough that we could really play like that. So it was great. It was great. And all the scenes, I had most of my scenes were with Steve Carell and working together. Steve was great at, I would throw a ball straight one time, a curveball next time, and he would send it right back, and that's always fun.
He strikes me as the type who would enjoy that kind of play.
Yes, we did really enjoy that. We both have a lot of improv in our background, so I just think if you are an actor who has improv and you work with other actors who've done a lot of improv, it really is it's fun.
Do you ever watch old episodes of the show?
No. I don't.
No, that's cool.
I really don't. I mean, I have fans that come up to me and they have seen the show start to finish every season like 10 times. And I'm just like, wow, and they quote lines to me and I'm always like, yeah. There's some I remember and some I'm like, I mean, I've moved on and done so many things since then. No, I don't. But, my younger daughter never got into it. My older daughter was never into it. And then all of her friends were watching it. So she kind of tuned in a little just to watch it, I may have seen or heard a couple episodes during that time that she was tuning into it.
What about the British version of the show?
I saw some of that. Greg asked us all not to watch it when we made the pilot. So I didn't. And then later, I think like a year into it, I think I watched 1 or 2 episodes, not much.
Did it remind you of what you were doing that very much?
No, different, like very different. I think, and then that was what was important, I think, was that, that he felt like we should really be our own characters. He didn't want them to be, for us to feel like we had to copy the characters that were already there, created.
Was there one office memory that you can remember that still cracks you up?
I mean, so many wonderful, fun improvisational moments. The dinner party episode, there were tons of those because it was really shot in a very, very small condominium. And it was at the height of summer. So it was particularly hot summer deep in the valley, about 102 degrees. And we had to keep turning and dry and sweaty. And we had to keep turning off, of course, the air conditioning for the sound. So it was getting unbearably hot in there. And it was the writer's strike, which, we were in almost like in process. So we were doing the episode. I had to stop for a couple of days, come back again or something. I can't remember all that. But I mean, I just remember some of those, the entrance when Steve, and I think in that moment, Michael says like, snip, snap, and he says, And then, that just came out of the moment. I don't even know that was even there. I think we just he kind of came up with that in the moment. And then when we went up to the bedroom and we were showing them around and the little tiny bench that, Jan had him sleeping on, it just, there were so many moments that just cracked us up, and we would have so much trouble, getting through and he sleeps on that. It was just, oh my God. Very funny.
Takes me back to what you were talking about earlier a little bit. Little House on the Prairie, where was that shot?
It was shot at the Warner Brothers Ranch.
Oh, which doesn't exist anymore, does it?
Yeah, I think it's like all torn down.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
So.
Because I always think of the scene at the beginning of the credits with Laura,
I know,
Melissa
running.
Gilbert running, yes, in that field of
Yeah,
wheat.
it was really so sweet, yeah. And Melissa's doing a lifestyle brand now too. I have a lifestyle brand. My storyboard's by Melora Hardin, and she has a lifestyle brand called Modern Prairie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and her lifestyle brand's awesome.
And
sort of a takeoff of that.
While we're on that topic, where can people
get
find
my
us?
lifestyles?
Yes.
Well, I just launched my scarves yesterday, actually, or day before yesterday. Anyway, they can go to my website and they can see my wallpaper, they can see my fine art collages, and they can buy my scarves. They can buy my wallpaper also.
And the website
which is
is?
just Melora.com, www.melora.com.
Melora.
Yes.
Easy enough to spell.
Yes.
What kind of a kisser was Steve Carell?
Oh my God. I don't think I've been asked that question since the very first season of The Office. That's hilarious. I don't remember. It was all fine.
It worked.
It was all fine. It was not a problem. It all worked well. He was.
How much improv would you say you had to do in The Office? Was there a lot? Were you called on to do a lot?
They would do a thing where we would always do it the way it was written, and then they would hand us sort of a candy bag, that they would call it a candy bag, and we could literally pull out lines, and it would just be like little lines that were options that we could throw in if we wanted to. So that was always a thing we did with scenes. Once we got it as written, we would play. And then one particular time I remember that Greg came in and said, we don't love the scene and we're going to go off and go work on it. You guys are doing great. Just play around with it. Try to make sure you get that in and get that in. And we did it, I guess, 2 or 3 times, completely fully improvised, just hitting those 2 beats that needed to get hit, and it was like a walking scene that ended up in the elevator, and I think they ended up using one of our improvised scenes, takes on it. So,
do you miss it?
I wouldn't say I miss it, because I'm just not that kind of person. I'm kind of happy wherever I am. Usually, I really. I'm good to. I've done so many exciting things since then, and. Thrilled that I got to be a part of it, that it's a show that people are still watching, that it's still alive and still very modern and very of the times. It's, one of the most incredible things about streaming. As I said, as a younger person, if you did a pilot and it didn't get picked up, or it ran for, a year, it went to the shelf and that was that. Or you made a movie that went straight to video, that was that. You didn't get this long life of generations of people that have now enjoyed The Office, and that's just so exciting. It's a really cool element to streaming for us actors. But yeah, I've moved on and done so many exciting, wonderful things, and The Office has been part of making some of those things possible, opening some of those doors and making me more recognizable and more famous, so that I get more opportunities really to work with other incredible people.
And we'll be right back. Tell me about Miley Cyrus. What are your observations of her?
Well, she was 15 when we did the Hannah Montana movie. I mean, mostly I just felt like she was a really hard worker. Really hard worker. She was committed. She wasn't a brat, She wasn't throwing tantrums, and, she was there to do the work and doing the work. And I remember sitting in the makeup trailer and her playing sort of a demo of The Climb, which is, I think that's a wonderful song. I mean, that's a really fabulous song.
How do you feel about AI?
Well, I just did a play on Broadway about that very subject called McNeil, which was Robert Downey Jr.'s Broadway debut. And Ayad Akhtar, Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright, wrote it, and it's about that very thing of art and AI interacting. And I think that before McNeil, I might have been similar to a lot of people I know, a little bit standing back on my heels about it, a little maybe scared of it in a way. I don't feel that way. I think that Ayad's play was an interesting study on the fact that we're already using AI all the time. I mean, we use it when we check out our groceries. We use it on our phones every day. It is part of our lives. It is here to stay. It's not going away. And I think that it's really important to get in relationship with it because
embrace it.
Well, embrace it, get in relationship with it. Find the way for it to help you because it really is quite extraordinary what it can do. It can get you started. And I read an article about an artist that was using AI to get going with some things. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna use AI creatively. I'm gonna try and do that. And I find it really interesting when I get into collaboration with it a little bit and use it that way. It's similar to when I directed a short documentary, and the people that hired me, it was like Bacardi Sapphire. The guy who owns that also has a brother who is a fine art gallery in New York, and the two brothers collaborated to create this sort of contest, I guess, if you will, that where the Bacardi Sapphire hired filmmakers to make films about these artists that were all in competition, and the artist would be like my artist was from Houston, Texas. I was born in Houston, Texas. That was why they paired me up with this artist. And I was basically told, make a film about whatever you want, and the theme is imagination. It can be anything. You can highlight the city as much or as little as you want. It just needs to be about the artist and the work and process or whatever. So I actually made a little film called Screamin' Big Bad Fun, with no G, Screamin' Big Bad Fun, that people can see on YouTube even today. That was sort of about this, what it is, what the creative process is. And it's about this young artist named Jed Ferranda and my father, Jerry Hardin, who is also an actor, but also an artist. And it really is about process.
You're not concerned about AI, infringing on your work?
Well, I mean, look, I think that even if it does, well, then I'm going to have to deal with it. I feel like we're not going to be able to turn back the hands of time. And I think that, I personally don't think that what humans get from live theater, from interaction, from what the actors give, and that's why I kind of think live theater, and I guess maybe the reason I brought up Screamin' Big Bad Fun was about process and just about creative process and how that isn't really ever going to change. I think it's just maybe we're going to find a way to use it to enhance things. And I don't know, are people really going to buy tickets to watch a robot do the stuff that they do every day? I mean, we're still going to eat, drink, sleep, go to the bathroom, breathe air, we live, we die. It's still our human experience is still, it's still the thing we share. It's the thing we all share.
Okay, you've talked about designing your scarves and things of that nature.
My wallpaper.
Working on stage with Robert Downey. Television from beginning with Little House on the Prairie and then The Office. What do you like doing most? Any kind of a creative outlet that exercises that part of your brain?
I have a lot of creative energy. And, I dance and I sing and I act and I write songs and I direct. And I've been working on a documentary for 7 years that is, hopefully going to come out next year. And, I seem to have a lot of creative energy to just keep going. And I guess that's what I'm going to do, is keep going. And if AI wants to come in and participate, then, maybe I'll find a way to walk hand in hand with it a little bit.
Come in and help me out of it. Help me out as
maybe
some of the overload.
Maybe.
So I meant to ask you this too. You thought of yourself being a ballerina when you were very young. Mm-hmm. How come that didn't happen? How come you don't I
still dance. I take 3 classes a week of jazz. But when I was about 13, I auditioned for the Joffrey Ballet summer scholarship program, and I was accepted to that. And Meredith Bayless was the artistic director at the time, and I had an amazing, glorious summer dancing with the Joffrey Ballet and their scholarship program, and made some really great friends, of which I'm still friends with some of them. And the next year, Meredith came and we did our audition again, and she said to my mom, I'm not going to accept Melora this year. She's a beautiful dancer, but I've seen her acting and she's an extraordinary actress. And I think for her to have the career that she would want as a ballerina, I just think that she'd have to, she basically made a choice for me, saying that, and she was right. Like, I never had natural feet. I didn't have natural extension. I had to work super hard for those things. And as a ballerina, you just have to have amazing feet and amazing extension. You just do, especially if you want to be a soloist or a principal dancer, which is, of course, what I wanted to be. And she was kind of just basically saying, look, my turns are great, my jumps are great, I know how to perform a dance, I'm a beautiful dancer, but I would have never been a star ballerina. I just wouldn't have. And I think she was kind of saying to my mom, but she's a star, as an actress. And so my mom says I walked around like an open wound for about 3 months. I quit acting altogether. I was really sad. And then I think I just sort of was like, well, wait a minute. What did I say? I said I quit acting. I quit dancing. I quit ballet for 3 months. And I didn't quit acting, but I quit ballet. And then I was like, you know what? I still want to dance. And that was when I started taking jazz classes. And now I still take jazz classes. And I made my Broadway debut in Chicago on Broadway. So I got to do the Fosse stuff and really dance. And, and I've danced in other shows I've done.
And the Joffrey is located in Chicago now, isn't it?
Is it?
Aren't they based in Chicago?
Maybe
I
they
believe
are.
so.
Oh,
yeah, they have this wonderful studio above State Street where floor-to-ceiling windows where you can see them rehearsing and practicing.
That's like Alvin Ailey in New York. I love that.
It's really kind of neat.
Yeah, that really is lovely. It's amazing.
You were in Dirty Dancing, the TV series, right?
Yeah, I played Baby. Yeah.
Nobody puts Baby in the corner.
That's right.
Is that true?
Well, they kind of had to in that one because I was really a good dancer and I had to pretend not to be able to dance as well as I could dance. And Kenny Ortega was our choreographer and he was amazing. And so I had to kind of pull back. I felt like a lot of my career in different ways was like, could you just dance a little less good? Could you make her look a little less pretty? Could you make her a little less, and I felt like I think that's part of why being on stage is so joyful because you really can. And even Jan, on The Office, like I really was able to be kind of 100% that, 100% whatever it is. But I do feel like a lot of times can we tone that part of her down? And like, it's just weird. It's a weird thing that I've had to contend with.
Imposing limitations on yourself in certain areas?
Well, yeah, and not me imposing, more like the outside, I remember doing 27 Dresses, and I remember the director thinking that James Marsden and I had such great chemistry. And I remember her being like, can we just make her a little less, like, can you go literally take her makeup down, make her hair, like, can we put her in a more dull, like, shirt? Like, she was worried that it was going to be, there was too much chemistry there. So that's always it's an interesting thing
like
to contend with.
Like it would overwhelm the
like it might overwhelm the love
result,
story or something, So that's always a funny thing to contend with. Like, okay, well, I mean, I was fine with it, whatever, but it was just.
Who you mentioned Michael Landon, you mentioned Clint Eastwood. Among all the people that you've worked with, who was the biggest influence on you?
Oh my gosh.
It sounds as though you've encountered some people who were really looking out for your best interests.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard one because I did start so young, and I would say that, even some of the bad directors I worked with were probably important in my evolution as a professional in my craft. I guess probably the people that are the most influential over me and getting going was my mom and my dad, because my dad was an actor and character actor, journeyman actor that worked all the time. My mom was an acting teacher and manager for the likes of like Leonardo DiCaprio. Well, Leo took from her as a student. The Gyllenhaals took from her when they were kids. And she managed Jessica Biel and Kelly Martin and all these kids, and taught River Phoenix and Joaquin Phoenix and Molly Ringwald and on and on and on. And so she was my stage mom, and she was my first teacher really, and she just is so joyful about the craft of acting, but really also very you really understood how to teach and what I needed to do. So I learned what my craft was.
She had a good
young.
and experienced guiding hand.
Yeah, she really did. And really joyful, and not like about me being famous, but about me learning the craft and being an artist. Really, that was what was valued in my upbringing, was being an artist, being a craftsperson. So that I was allowed to really have a real childhood, and I was working all the time. And that was for sure by design by my parents. They were, I'm so grateful to them for keeping that front and center that I needed to, because they really believe and understood that, you have to have life experience to be a great actor. You can't be a great actor without great life experience.
Without bringing something to the table.
Exactly. Yeah.
You've been, you said, doing this for 50 years, over 50 years.
Yeah.
What haven't you done that you'd like to? You were in the Hannah Montana movie, for crying out loud.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think that things change as each phase of your life, you assess and reassess and evolve, and there's a lot I haven't done. And that still people can surprise me with wonderful, these two young filmmakers wrote this gorgeous script of this little indie film that, I co-produced with them called Golden Vanity, basically about a fading movie star a la Judy Garland on the last day of her life, where she decides to record her life story. It's a one-woman movie, the first one-woman movie, as far as we know, that's ever been made. And it was this little movie that they made, and I got on board for that, and we made it in 5 days. We did 2 weeks of rehearsal like you would a play, and made the whole thing in 5 days, and just took it around to film festivals last year, because they finally were able to get the rights to music and that, and all the things that come with making a little indie movie. And that was so joyful to take this little movie that not many people are going to see, but people at the film festivals did. And I went to all of them. I sat with all these audiences. I talked to them afterwards, and that kind of thing is really, really wonderful, because you get that human element again we were talking about that AI could never replace, obviously. So yeah, I think just anything creative. I'm always looking for opportunities to be creative, and that can come in many guises. I'm always open to being surprised and yeah, being asked.
Tell me about Miley Cyrus. What are your observations of her?
Well, she was 15 when we did the Hannah Montana movie. I mean, mostly I just felt like she was a really hard worker. Really hard worker. She was committed. She wasn't a brat, she wasn't like throwing tantrums, and she was there to do the work and doing the work. And I remember sitting in the makeup trailer and her playing I think sort of a demo of The Climb, which is, I think that's a wonderful song. I mean, that's a really fabulous song. I sometimes sing that when I do like live cabaret stuff. I sometimes sing The Climb. I really enjoy singing it. It's just a beautiful song. She's a real, she's a phenomenon. She's a hard worker, and she's so talented.
Yes, she is.
She's so talented.
I think was it last year's Grammys or the year before?
Yeah.
Where she just kind of like burst
Blew
out.
up. Yeah, she did. Yeah, it was really exciting.
People who may not have known about her before.
Yes, that's right.
Here's this adult.
Yeah,
where'd she come from?
Yeah. And she was, it takes a real certain personality to be able to do all that transitioning from young, teenagedom into young adulthood in front of everyone.
Yeah.
And I mean, just people are so hard on it. And I'm like, really? As if you didn't do that? You didn't do some things you would look back on and be like, I wasn't really a person I should have dated, or I shouldn't have really said that, or why did I wear my hair like that, or how come I posed like that for that picture? I mean, come on, we've all done that. And to be able to do that in front of everyone
in a town where criticism is
it's kind of remarkable. So I think even that, even if you don't like some of the choices she's made, wow, that she could do that and has the kind of resilience to just keep on going is extraordinary.
We'll be right back.
Transparent came along at a time that 2 weeks before I said to my husband, I really want to cut my hair off. I need to get a part where they ask me to cut my hair off because I can't cut it off because everybody knows me as, this.
So you just mentioned one more thing. Cabaret. You do cabaret too, where you go out and sing in nightclubs and things?
Well, I mean, I'm a singer-songwriter. I've made 3 records, and sometimes I do. I did at Casa Cipriani in New York last year, I think it was, or it might have been the year before that. That was the last time, but I just every now and then I'll get a little bee in my bonnet and be like, you know what, I'm gonna go sing.
One of the places that I used to love here so much was the Gardenia Club.
Oh yes.
Is that on Melrose or Santa Monica?
You know what else is really great is Vitello's.
Oh, I haven't been there yet.
Vitello's.
Isn't that Michael Feinstein?
Yes, it was Michael Feinstein, and I'm not sure whether, because I know that during COVID he sort of went and did one in Santa Barbara, but I don't think that they kind of closed it. But I don't know. Maybe it's open again, and maybe it's still Michael's place. But yeah, it's just a great space, really great space.
How did you get through COVID?
We have a beautiful backyard. And I really love my husband, and I really love my kids. And we had a great time. We just hung out together and tried to help them through it. I think it was super hard on young people. I really am not for those lockdowns. I think that was just really, really bad management, personally. And I think super, super hard on the kids in particular. And
if you're a teenager or an adolescent, it's hard enough making friends at school and getting into the habit of going and hitting your stride or finding a stride.
Yeah.
And then to have it all shut down.
Yeah, and I think for the kids that are awkward, I just noticed some kids in my kids' classes that are more socially awkward, and man, that just took them out. I mean, it really made it was bad. It was bad for them.
Well, how do you feel about social media?
I mean, I think that, now it's become part of the world that we live in, and part of the business even. We, as actors, we kind of all have to interact with it. And again, I was reticent to get going with it and found it overwhelming and found it, offensive and irritating and not fun and all those things. And then I met my social media manager who made it fun and helped me to figure out how to do it in a way that I could be doing what I needed to do professionally. But I don't really rely on it too much for my real life much. I mean, friends will send me things and I'll look at that. I will, listen to things, obviously podcasts, and I'll tune into things, but again, I'm one of those people that is like, it's here. We have to find a way to deal with it. And the way we dealt with it as parents was that we didn't let our kids have phones at all until they graduated 8th grade. We turned our television off when our first daughter was born. We don't have a television in our house. We didn't give them iPads. They were allowed to watch musicals like Sound of Music, Singing in the Rain, all the Doris Day movies,
Wizard of Oz,
Little House on the Prairie, Wizard of Oz, all of those classics. But yeah, we did not use television as a babysitter. We did not use social media or phones as babysitters. We did not let them look at screens. We were very adamant about that. And I don't know, for my parenting, I guess we just really I believe in trying to say yes as often as possible so that when you say no, it means no. So I'm not a parent who says a lot of no's, like a lot of like, no, don't do, no, don't, I'm always like, try to leave them a lot of space. Now they're grown women, so I don't really say much of anything about any of it. But as kids, that was the parenting tactic that we took, was sort of to just try to say yes so that when we said no, no was no. And really no meant no in our family. And our daughter came to us when she was in 8th grade, and she's like, Mom, I'm the only one who doesn't have a phone in my class, and I'm really a good kid, and I could deal with it. And I said, I know, you are. You are a great kid. It's not about you being a great kid. You're a great kid. And you're not getting a phone until you graduate.
Bottom line.
It's just the way it is. And it's like, you're wonderful. It's not about that.
Well, it's also, I think, very important for parents to say what they mean and mean what they say.
Yeah,
Can't go backsliding and say,
well, maybe, yeah, you're so cute. And when you do that cute thing with your, with your mouth or whatever, like, okay. No, I really, and we would also, as they got to be teenagers and they got to be older, it was like, look, enroll us. We're saying no, but you want us to change our mind. Go ahead. Like, get up on, my husband used to be a lawyer. He's like, go ahead. Let's see. Try to convince us. Negotiate.
Make a case.
Let's see you negotiate and see if you can win us over. And we'll try to be, we're going to be reasonable about it. So they did. They won some cases that way.
Is it hard raising children in Hollywood?
I mean, I was raised in Hollywood. And I had an amazing childhood. I was raised as a child actor. Everyone's like, that's horrible. How can you be a normal, grounded person? I had really amazing parents. I mean, I had parents that were all about the craft. They were all about art. When my parents had zero money, I felt like we had everything. I felt like we had all the money in the world, because what was revered and celebrated in my family was family and family time and taking time and playing ball and playing Frisbee and going on family Sundays. And, it's just, I think it's where your priorities are. It's where your priorities are. So I am not very taken with the surface part of Hollywood. I'm really taken with the craft, the art, the creative, the fellow creatives that I get to work with. And that's just amazing. So, but I value, my family and my kids and their well-being and their joy and their happiness. I remember saying to them when I did the Bold Type, and we shot the Bold Type in Montreal for New York, and it was when the kids were teens that we started. And I remember sitting at the dinner table and saying, I want you girls, I want to make a toast to you to say thank you for just being the girls you are. Because if you weren't joyful, happy, grounded girls, I would have to choose you, and I would not be able to go and do this, where I was away from them, 2 weeks at a time, and I would try to fly home, and but their lives were happening. They couldn't come and see me all the time. I was the one that was lonely and had to, and my amazing husband, of course, holding down the fort and, making everything tick while I was away. But it was like, just saying to them, like, you make this possible for mommy to be able to follow her dreams too. and they know that I would always choose them first. If they were big mess ups, I'm like, if you guys were big fuck ups, I'd have to be here taking care of that.
May I ask how old they are?
They are now just turned 23 and 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your work is done here.
Young women, beautiful, amazing young women.
On Transparent, you were nominated for an Emmy. How was that experience?
Oh, so great. Are you kidding? I mean, that was, talk about just a group of incredible artists, and Joey Soloway was so committed to it being this certain type of creative experience, where the day would start often with what she would call box. What they would call box. And they would say, everyone's going to come and you can stand on the box if you have something to say. I mean, literally the whole crew, not just the cast, it'd be the cast, the crew, everybody would be there. And the AD would carve out enough time that we would have 30 minutes, 45 minutes in the morning to be able to go and do box, which would be standing on the box. If you have something to say, you can acknowledge people, you can speak up about something if you need to communicate about something. And I just remember thinking, wow, okay, this is a first. And what a cool, fun, just very unique individual way to do it. And we also had some cool rehearsals with kind of her, with Joey's mentor. And wow, it was a very creative experience. And that particular episode where that I did get nominated for, which was the episode where Tammy falls off the wagon and kind of has a tantrum. That was so cool because Joey comes to me and says, if we're not loving, the scene is backwards, like it's written backwards. So put the end of the scene first, and then the beginning, end with the beginning. And that was really, I was like, oh yeah. Like it really was cool when so just the way that Joey had their eyes on everything in this very creative way was extraordinary and fun and playful and creative, and then just the other actors, were wonderful. Amy Landecker played my lover in it, so we had a lot of fun working together. Tig Notaro played my ex-wife; she was amazing. Jeffrey Tambor was amazing to work with. I loved everybody. Literally, I loved everybody. It was just a great group.
The whole box experience reminds me, as you describe it, reminds me a little bit of an AA meeting, where everybody gets the opportunity to say, if you have something to say, you say it. If you don't, you pass. And
interesting.
Going that route and doing that kind of an exercise lets you feed off other people, and sometimes inspires you to say something you hadn't thought about, or something to work on. Interesting way of handling it.
Well, and I've always said that making film and TV is the greatest team sport of all, and people that aren't in the business don't realize how much of a team sport it is.
Very collaborative.
It's so collaborative. But if craft service isn't making good snacks that make you feel good and are healthy and delicious and nourishing, then the energy goes down. The crew gets a little bit fuzzy. They're not paying attention as well. Lights fall over. Actors can't get the energy up for what they need to do. It's really quite amazing. And so I think Box was really good for creating that collaborative team spirit.
One of the things I miss most about going into a job on a daily basis, I live in Chicago. It's so far removed from Hollywood. And while I get to interact with the folks here at the podcast, it's not the same as being there on a daily basis, sitting next to somebody. And, sometimes you're all talking stream of consciousness, and it's just so stimulating. I find it very stimulating. and you find different ways of expressing yourself. I miss that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Working in a newsroom as I did for like 30 years, you have all these current events going on and people yelling over each other and across the room, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Maybe they'll get you back then.
Oh, maybe. At 71, I can't see moving across the country again. I've done it enough times now.
Right.
Tell me about when you put on your directing hat.
Well, I mean, my first directing job was a one-woman show. I met this young woman in a writing class that we did together. I've taken multiple writing classes for some kind of a one-person show, and she was doing hers, and I came in and kind of gave some notes, and she called me and said, "I loved your notes. Would you direct my show?" And also it had some movement, dance in it, kind of, and being that I was a dancer too. So I did that, and it worked out great. We had a wonderful time together, and it got some nice reviews, and it was a small little theater, here in LA, and did great. And so then my husband wrote a screenplay that was when our first daughter Rory was born, about what if you lost your soulmate, and I was reading it while I was getting a manicure, pedicure, and I was literally like, I just burst into tears. I had to stop the manicure and say, like, I'm sorry, but I have to. And I went to my car and I called him and I said, "Oh my God, honey, I need to direct this. And it was just sort of like, I don't even know where it came from. I had to direct this movie that felt very personal, and it was really a love letter to me, his script, and I think that the movie I made was a love letter back to him, really about the circle of life, and it was, so that was really my film school. It's called You, A Love Story, and people can rent it on iTunes and Amazon, I think. And I would say that was my film school, because the thing that I was familiar with all the steps of it, except the editing room. That was really where I was like, oh, I've never been in an editing room. I've never done that part. And then, of course, you get in an editing room and you realize that's where the film is made. And being that I am a visual artist, and I think that, I've always been a collage artist, but I didn't really ever think of it as art. I always thought of it as kind of, I guess, craft or doodles, kind of meaningless way to sort of bide my time. But being in the editing room, I realized I was really collaging. That was really what I was doing. And I'm a very visual person. I'm very creatively visual that way. So I found that really worked great for me. And then in this most current thing that I've been directing, the documentary I've been working on for 7 years called Hunter's Thunder, that's really when the editing and the art came together, because Hunter, my subject and friend in the movie, said to me, your collages are helping me, because I'll wake up with a nightmare and I'll open up your collage on my iPad and I'll zoom in and go into these worlds that you've created that are they're very dense, very rich, very joyful, life-affirming, kind of worlds. And she would say, I use my childlike imagination and I go inside of it and I hide behind the thing and I go in here and I cry and I come down the waterfall and it was just like suddenly these things that I thought of as doodles were infused with meaning. And once something has meaning, then I can really give something to it, when I know that there's meaning. So I think that my directing and my art are they go hand in hand, because they just do. I don't, I think that my collaging, my fine arts are sort of, it's collaging, and then making a movie is collaging. I think even watching my actors work and, setting up the camera, figuring out the shot, it's all the same. It's all collaging for me.
Do you go to movies?
I do. I love movies.
What's the last movie you saw?
Oh, I've seen quite a few. I just saw The Substance. I thought it was amazing. I really loved it.
Do you stream movies, or do you prefer to go to a theater and see them on a big
I
screen.
prefer to go to the theater. I will stream them, but that I saw The Substance in a theater. I saw One Love recently in a theater. That was also wonderful. That was a really interesting movie because I couldn't really understand. The accent was so thick that I lost a lot of words, and I figured that out really early on. I'm going to miss a lot of this. And so I just gave in. I gave in and gave up to really understanding all the words. And I was so moved by that movie. I got so much. Those actors were just brilliant. And I thought, beautifully directed, beautifully told, that story. Really beautifully told. Anyway,
I think there's a lot of good movies out right now.
There are, yes.
Have you seen Wicked?
I haven't yet.
No, neither have I.
But I'm going to. I'm going to go see it. I want to see it in a big theater. And I had something to do on the night that the premiere, they invited me in New York. I couldn't do it, but I'm going to go.
Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
How fun was that?
That was fun. Yeah. I mean, I love dancing, and I've never done ballroom. So it was a really interesting thing for me to learn those dances and, that technique. It's really very technical, ballroom. I enjoyed it a lot.
The characters you played on The Office and Transparent were so different, night and day. Mm-hmm. Was that a conscious decision? Were you looking for something different?
Transparent came along at a time that 2 weeks before I said to my husband, I really want to cut my hair off. I need to get a part where they ask me to cut my hair off because I can't cut it off because everybody knows me as, this. And I kind of get work, and that's like a look that I have. Literally 2 weeks later, I think I manifested that because it was one of the things about Tammy that must be willing to, cut her hair off. And I was like, yes. But yes, of course, I was looking for something that was exciting and different and creative, and somebody that I felt I understood. I felt like when I read Tammy, I knew who she was. I had a very, very close friend in high school that was kind of Tammy, and I just felt like, I know what that person, I know who she is.
What are you looking for now?
Well, it's a good question. I think I would like to be on a show that is already running and a success, where they're adding in an interesting character. I think I would like to I'd like to be doing something that I know is going to go for a while, or that's got some legs and something fun and.
It's funny, as a dancer, you would pick the term legs, something that has legs.
Yes, something that has some legs.
Can you tell me where did Melora come from?
It was from a book my mom read when she was 16 called John Brown's Body. And she said, if I ever have a daughter, I'd like to call her Melora. And I guess my brother's 5 years older than me, and if my brother had been a girl, they were going to name her something.
Whatever.
Jennifer, I think. And because my dad didn't like the name. And then when I came along, he was like, I do like the name now. So I got really lucky because I can't really envision myself with any other name.
Well, it's not a name that I've heard a lot.
No, it's an unusual one. Mm-hmm.
Keeps you in people's memories.
Yes.
When you got the breakup script for The Office, what were your first impressions, your first thoughts?
I think that, I felt like, okay, I guess that's what's happening now, Greg had asked me what I wanted to do, and I had said that I was interested in potentially directing an episode of The Office, which never happened. I ultimately ended up going and doing other things and, directing other things. But yeah, I guess I was just sort of like, okay, I guess Jan is coming to an end.
You seem pretty unflappable.
Well,
what was the last thing that flapped you?
Gosh, what flapped me? Well, I don't know. I think that the things that get me going are more like personal things that I'm personally working on for myself. And really those things can show up. They can show up in career. They can show up in interpersonal relationships. But I guess I'm just on the court with all of it. I'm on the court with it. I'm always working that. I have been for many years and always will be, I think, a real student of life and a student of, human nature, my human nature, what makes everyone tick, what makes me tick, what makes me an ever evolving, self-actualized person. I'm always working towards that at all times. I'm always working the work that works for me, that with my coach that I've found, and my husband and I are on that path together, working to always just sort of make our lives what we want it to be.
You just seem as though you're someone who takes everything in stride.
Well, I think
What's next?
I think so. I mean, look, I'm just so happy to be who I am, to have the life I have with the children I have, the husband I have, the parents that I have still alive. My mom's 85, my dad's 95. A wonderful brother and, wonderful friends and an amazing career, and people still call me and want me to do things, and they still like what I do and applaud when I do things live and pay me to do what I love. And so I mean, really, what is there to complain about? I'm a really lucky person, and I feel that it's important to have gratitude and to continue just working towards, whatever's next, to just be as committed to everything as I like to be.
That's very commendable.
Oh, thanks. I mean,
I envy that in a person. I'm the type who says, if I didn't have bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. That's my motto.
I think you've had pretty good luck. You were just sitting here telling me you've interviewed Esther Williams,
Betty Davis,
and
Maureen O'Hara.
I mean, come on.
Jack Lemmon, Walter Matthau. I've had a few.
Yeah, I think you've had some good luck.
But I still like to complain. Oh, here comes Steve. He's going to unload on us. That's what my friends say.
I love it.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you, Melora. This was delightful.
Well,
Thanks for stopping
you.
by. I've enjoyed this.
Yeah, me too. Thanks
Good.
a lot.
And I love the shoes. Keep the shoes.
Okay, I will. You think they go with my scarf?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, well, you could probably get your leg up there, but I don't want you to do that.
I'm not sure if I could now.
Did you see what the ruby slippers sold for recently?
What?
$32 million at auction.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
They were thinking maybe 3 or 4 million.
Were they owned? Were they owned by a private?
Yes,
owner?
These were the pair that were stolen some time ago, but they were returned to the person who owned them, and they put them up for auction. And $32 million through Sotheby's, I believe.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty great.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind having some ruby slippers to sell for $32 million.
Well, the thing is, they weren't real rubies. They're sequins.
Exactly, right?
Yes.
They're probably crystal, little things.
Still Here Hollywood is a production of the Still Here Network. All things technical run by Justin Zangerly. Theme music by Brian Sanashin. And executive producer is Jim Lichtenstein.